Today I'm going to talk about getting your son or your daughter their first proper camera. Whether you're a seasoned photographer or a newbie, when your kids start growing up and getting into different things, photography is definitely a great one for them to get into. Now, first things first, do they have a good camera on their phone? If they do, have they been getting some good shots with it? There's nothing better than a camera phone for ignoring all of the technical sides of photography and just focusing on composition. You can just look at what's in your frame and think to yourself, is it a good shot or not, without having to worry about what your aperture, your shutter speed or your ISO is. If they're already doing this but want to get deeper into it, that's when it's worth getting them a better camera. If they're really young, it might be worth getting something like the Kid Zoom from VTech. But this is really basic and they'd probably grow out of this quite quickly, especially if they got really into photography. Also, if they like to see their photos instantly but don't want to spend any time whatsoever editing their photos, the Polaroid cameras are really cool. However, this can be expensive as you need the instant cartridges for them every time they run out. I think they're around about $1.50 per image, so this can get expensive quickly. You could get them a point and shoot, and if they don't like going out with a big bag and want something just to shove in their pockets, this might be an option. And there are a lot out there that are relatively inexpensive, like the Canon PowerShot series. And if you wanted to go really cheap, you could get one secondhand from eBay or your local secondhand website like Craigslist. Although if you go for the latest RX100, I think it's Mark 7 at the moment, it will still set you back $1,200, which is around about £1,000. So even these cameras can get expensive quite quickly. Also, they can be quite limiting if they do really get into photography. Point and shoots as well as bridge cameras have fixed lenses, so you can't change them out, and what you get is what you're stuck with. In saying that, some of them do have amazing zooms and they're great as an all-in-one camera, but they don't really specialize in anything in particular. As long as there's enough light about though, they will take a good photo. Another option is a DSLR. If your budget is limited or you don't think that they'll last too long before moving on to the next thing, it might be worth getting one second hand. Something like the Nikon D7000 or the Canon T3i, which I think is the 600D in Europe. This with the kit lens is a great place to start, and it will teach them lots about photography. They are light, and even though the kit lenses on these cameras are small and plasticky, they take surprisingly good shots. Also, they're pretty durable. So if your little one is a little bit clumsy, it might be worth going for this option. One downside to the DSLR camera, especially for kids who are used to camera phones, is that when you look through the viewfinder, if those settings are out a little bit, the photo will come out quite different to what you see. And when learning, this can be quite frustrating. So a better option is a mirrorless camera. Mirrorless cameras are a lot like DSLRs, but they have just changed the viewfinder into a small monitor. This will give you the chance to see what the photo will look like before even taking it. And this is the great thing with mirrorless cameras. It will show you a live view and you'll be able to make changes until the shot looks good in the viewfinder or on the back of the camera and then take the shot. So as a learning tool, this is great, and it means they can take things further a lot quicker. For this, something like the Sony a6000 is a great little camera and a really good starting point. This also has the potential for vlogging as well. So if they want to get into making YouTube videos, this is a really good option. So since making this video and between then and editing the video, Sony actually discontinued the a6000 series camera. The next best thing is the a6100. The other thing you could actually do is maybe pick up a cheap second-hand a6000 camera as well. As the line's been discontinued, I'm guessing a lot of shops and a lot of online retailers will probably want to get rid of it. Anyway, back to the video. Now, with a big push from the manufacturers for full-frame mirrorless cameras like the Z5 from Nikon, the EOS RP from Canon, and the A7C from Sony, you might be thinking that this might be the right way to go. However, if your little one changes their mind a few months down the road, you'll be stuck with an entry-level camera. Now, this might be alright if you want a half-decent second camera and you're sneakily going about it this way, knowing that your kid will lose interest in a short while. If this is the case, get something that would suit the camera kit that you own and would fit nicely with a camera that you already have. If not, it might not be the best line to go down. And this brings me on to another good point. If you want to get your kid into it, it might be worth buying the same kit as you have, especially if you're on a budget. They can then use your lenses and then they can borrow any accessories that you might have. This will keep the cost down and you won't have to buy too much more to start with. On the other hand, if you don't want them touching your expensive camera kit, it might be worth buying a different camera brand. Then you'll also get to use and experience a completely different camera as well. Now this can sometimes be quite enlightening, as you'll start to see that most cameras out there are really good nowadays. So unless you have the budget for it or secretly want another camera for yourself and you know your little one will get bored quickly, a crop sensor is the best way to go, as they're small and light, and also the new lenses are relatively cheap compared to full frame cameras. And once again, this brings me on to upgrading. If you buy them a crop censored camera, buying new lenses won't be too expensive compared to mirrorless full frame cameras. So in keeping the sensor size down, you'll keep their costs down. If they are saving up for a new lens, the last thing you'll probably want them to have to do is save up thousands of dollars or pounds before being able to get one that's suitable for the camera that they have. Both you and they need to know that it's an expensive hobby, but a really fulfilling one. And over the years, they can slowly build up a decent set of lenses and accessories that will really help them take some amazing photos. But it is a slow process. So start small and secondhand if they're likely to change their hobby a few months down the line. Get something like the Canon PowerShot if they want something small. For something a bit bigger and one that they can grow into, a Sony a6000 would be a fantastic first camera. And there are so many good deals and secondhand bargains out there because it's been on the market for quite a while. If your budget is a bit bigger, the a6600 from Sony is a fantastic camera, and it's the best of the a6000 series of cameras at the moment. Also, if they buy one of these cameras, the lenses are interchangeable. So if they want to get into astrophotography, landscape or portraits or anything like that, where they're going to be a bit more specialized, you can then get lenses to suit those specific genres in photography. Then it's a case of seeing how they pick it up and seeing how much they get into it. The great thing with photography is that it's so modular that you can buy any basic camera with an interchangeable lens system. Then once they outgrow that, you can then buy them a telephoto lens if they want to get into wildlife or sports photography, or a wide angle if they're fascinated with the stars or want to take some really big wide landscape shots. You can get so many different kinds of accessories down the line, and as long as they're still into it, you'll never be short of a Christmas present. Now, if you're thinking about buying a camera for your son or your daughter, let me know in the comments below and let me know what you decide to go with. I've also put a load of affiliate links down below in the description to make it easy for you to find what I'm talking about. So if you like my channel, consider clicking on some of those if you do want to buy anything I'm talking about today. And if you want to learn more, click here next. Or if you want to binge watch a lot of tutorials in photography, click down here. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe for weekly tutorials in photography and videography. I'll see you next time.